Swamp Fox over from started.net. I'm just going to show you how to make a quick custom UI. Let's just test this map I've been making. Show you what I've got. As you can see, I've got 3 dialogues and signs of the screen. You have these little tabs that move them on and off the screen. That's just a little something I'm going to show you how to do. Alright, so let's make our new map. Go right to the trigger editor, get rid of those melee actions, and first off, we're going to hide the game UI. We don't want that showing if we want a custom UI, of course. Alright. After that, let's define our dialogue variables. First, we'll just make main dialogue and set that equal to the dialogue type. After that, create main dialogue tab, and that'll be a dialogue item. Thirdly, make main dialogue button, and that'll just be like a little ability. Set that to dialogue item also. Alright, now since we have those, let's go into the trigger. Okay, first we need to create a dialogue. You kind of have to mess around with the settings. Just experiment. You can't really know what it's going to look like beforehand, so it's just trial and error. I'm just going to make that 500 and 125 with no offsets relative to the bottom of the screen. Now, since the dialogue isn't shown by default, we have to show it ourselves. So show last created dialogue. And then we're going to set the dialogue background. Since I don't like the original one. So set background image of our last created dialogue. And just type in like box or bar in the search bar to look for good backgrounds for your dialogue. I'm going to type a bar and see what we can find. Right, that's a good image there. You can see how it looks kind of funky there, but in the game it'll assemble it correctly, it'll look right. So you're going to want to look for images that look like that. So I'm just going to use that one. It looks like a good one. And then all we need to do is set our main dialogue equal to the last created dialogue. Alright, after that, create our dialogue tab. So create dialogue item button for the main dialogue. We want to use main dialogue because we already defined that variable. And we'll just use dimensions 225 anchored to the top with no offset and blank button text. It won't work how it is. So now we're going to change the background of the tab also. So set dialogue item image, the last created dialogue item image to, and I'm just going to type in box up here and look for something good. I've already done this before, so those are good ones there. I'm going to choose the darker one because we're going to have an image and a hover image. We want our hover image to be lighter, obviously. So once we have that, we're going to set the hover image. And we'll choose the lighter one this time. Scroll down. There's the lighter one. There you go. All we need to do is set our variable main dialogue tab equal to the last created dialogue item. Alright, lastly in our initialization trigger, we'll create dialogue item button, make that for dialogue main dialogue. We're going to make the 64 by 64 because that is the default icon size for the buttons in StarCraft. Anchor to the center, and with no offset. Once again, blank button text. Alright, that's all we need to do for the button. So we set my dialog button equal to last created dialog item. Now as it is, it's just a blank button. It doesn't have a picture or anything. So what we're going to do is create a dialog item image, and we're going to make it, you know, like the ability. So create it for the main dialog with the same dimensions as your button, anchor to the same location, and with the same offsets. Now we're going to set the image to an ability. So search ability and find something that you like. I've already done this, so I'm going to choose flare. 64 by 64, just like our dimensions. So there we go. We don't need to set a variable to that. Alright, our next trigger, we're going to call it tab. And this is going to be when we click our tab. So when any dialog item is clicked, we'll ask if the use dialog item is our main dialog tab. Now first we're going to put an if-then statement in our actions. And our condition will be if our dialog background image is visible. I'll explain this in just a sec, but put that for the condition. Main dialog, and if its background image is visible. True. So for a then statement, we're going to hide the dialog background. Now why we don't want to use this one is because it's going to hide the dialog and all of the buttons. We still want to be able to see our tab when we hide our dialog, so we'll choose that option. And we'll hide the background image of our main dialog. And we want to move it down, so we'll move the dialog, main dialog, to 0, -100. So we'll move it down 100 units relative to the bottom of the screen. Now we just need to do the opposite for our else. And we'll show the background image, and we'll move it to its default location. So basically what we're doing is just asking if the background image is visible. We'll hide it if it's visible, and we'll show it if it isn't. Okay, now we'll make our ability trigger. Same thing as the tab. If any dialog item is used, with the condition use dialog item, if that's equal to the button. And we'll just do a simple action here. We'll just create a marine at the center of the map. So create one marine. Center of region, the region being the entire map. And there you go. That's our simple ability. Finally, we'll make hotkeys for both of those buttons. For the first one, we'll make this for the tab. So we'll ask if a key is pressed, and we'll just use the spacebar for this one. So when you press the spacebar down, we'll just run our tab trigger. Remember to ignore conditions, unlike what I did in the video. Okay. So we'll make our second hotkey for our ability. We'll make it the 1 key and run the ability. Remember to ignore conditions. Okay. Now we got everything there. We can test it. Alright, so here we are. We got a little dial at the bottom. There are hotkeys going up and down there. And there you go.